What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Session Podcast, man. We are so glad that you could join us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you are not already following. So, we got an update today. Man, if y'all didn't watch the last episode, we was talking about what was going on with the NBA with Chauncey Billups, what was going on with Gilbert Arenas, what was going on with all the players that was involved. And we got updates, man. It has been a surprising week. But I also have my take on the situation. I also have an opinion that I think most people feel, kind of the same of what's going on. But let's get to it. We're going to talk first, man, about what initially happened. So I believe it was Monday or Tuesday morning. Yeah. Police raided, or police arrested. Let me not use the word raided. Police arrested head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, Chauncey Billups, as well as Terry Rozier, played for the Miami Heat, and former assistant coach and player Damon Jones was arrested. All of them had ties to an illegal gambling circuit in which they were allegedly enticing wealthy gamblers to come and gamble with celebrities and other ex and current NBA players. So in a sense, it was like just like a gambling house. And this was going on all over the country. They have footage or they have interviews of professional gamblers who talked about friends who were just, wealthy socialites who were in on it. And, the main thing was that they would go, they felt, they were gambling with, celebrities and NBA legends and whoever else, right? Because there's 31 defendants, but they have not named more. They've only named about 6. Now, what I find interesting about this whole gambling thing, right? They've been investigating this for a couple years, so they say, and there's been multiple reports of other NBA figures, associates, agents that have been investigated or even caught, in the gambling scenario. Now, one thing that nobody has brought up is the ties to LeBron James. And that's what I think is the biggest takeaway from this whole scenario is that LeBron James has not been implicated in any of this. He's not been charged. I don't even think they quote that he's under investigation. But word on the street is Clutch Sports might be under investigation. And if you remember, back in, I think it was 2021 to 2023, Maverick Carter was under investigation. And he even admitted to gambling on basketball games with, let me see here. With a legal bookmaker or whatever, right? So he was using bookies essentially to bet on NBA games, right? And, this happened. Let me just go to the page. This happened. Yeah, November. Ain't that ironic? November. So we up here, beginning of the season. Back then, he was caught, in admission to. Let me see here. What does it say? Admission told federal agents that he could not remember placing any bets on the Lakers and denied placing bets on other teams, according to the reports summarized in an interview to reveal to the Post. In 2021 and before 38th Circuit Judge District of Columbia legalized sports betting. Maverick Carter interviewed a single time with federal law enforcement regarding an investigation into Wayne Nix. There it is. So according to the report, according to a report by the Post, Carter said he placed approximately 20 bets on football and basketball games over the course of a year with each bet ranging from 5,000 to 10,000. So, okay, we know that this is something that occurred 2 years ago, right? So, we already know from the last topic that the other investigation, when Gilbert Arenas was arrested by the feds for the similar charge um, of participating in illegal gambling circuit, that this happened 2 years ago. Just like Terry Rozier, just like Malik Beasley. Both have been under investigation for a few years and have been arrested or implicated in the past few years, which to me, I think is all about the debt that they've accrued over the time. The debt that they've accrued over the time, I think, has become unpayable. And what I believe, and this is just my opinion, and I know it sounds like the start of a rant, because it is. The NBA has a gambling problem. They always have. Las Vegas has a gambling problem. America has a gambling problem. So introducing the NBA, the NFL, and all of that into this organized world of crime, to me, is the problem. Because what we have not seen the faces of any of the mafia members, in which they have used that term multiple times. And if you're, an American and you're anything aware of what mob ties, mafia ties, all of those, when they use those terminologies, a lot of that is privileged. A lot of that is somebody who's not going to be touched, somebody who has friends in high places, or they have lawyers, or they have some type of immunity because they're tied in somehow. Reason why I say this is you never see their faces and you never hear their names. You haven't heard of what organization, you haven't heard of any of the culture or any of it tied to whoever. You don't know who it is, but we do know these faces that they're putting out here as the NBA players that we've all known and loved forever. So what I believe is, in my personal opinion, that this is a shakedown. Like I said before, this is a shakedown. And what it is Malik Beasley, your debt got too high. Terry Rozier, your debt got too high. And you can tell by their personal issues. A lot of their personal issues are starting to come up, and that's where they're having problems. Terry Rozier has a lien against him for some gambling debts. I mean, for home debts or whatever, right? They said the same thing about Malik Beasley. He owes a plethora of people and judgments against him. So to me, I think that's the real problem. The real problem is the NBA is having the same issue they had back in the 80s and 90s, where a lot of these guys they're just not prepared for what it is to have the money, and then they get themselves in a lot of debt, and then that debt eats them up. And now you still want to hang around the same guys. You still want to have, the nights out, the gambling parties, the traveling. I'm sure there's so much that probably goes along with these poker nights, because it's millionaires. So I'm certain they got entertainment. I'm probably sure there's a party going on. It's an environment that you want to be in. And, you don't want to give that up, especially when you got a contract, or you feel like, oh, I can make the money back. Because that's the problem. Like, this is a scandal, but at the same time, it's like they already feel like when you're tied in with the mafia, essentially you're straight. You know what I mean? Like, they'll take care of it until you're no longer a benefit. So it's almost, what I'm saying, it's almost bad juju. But I also think too, this is a bigger issue for Adam Silver, because no matter how they want to slice it, no matter how they try to cut it, this is an NBA issue. You know what I mean? Like, you have two faces of well recognized guys, and they're pretty much tied in with you, all the way. You don't know Terry Rozier for anything else but the NBA. You don't know Chauncey Billups for anything else but the NBA. So if they're saying that this is widespread, if they're saying that, they have investigation going on and there's so many people tied in, they're just, and let's be fair, this is the FBI, right? The FBI does not arrest you unless they know they got you. They got to have a case already done. And this isn't like quick story time. So I was in the service, right? Overseas. I'm talking to intelligence people who worked with FBI, they worked with CIA. Like so they know, you know what I mean, how to they have to be trained how to collect intelligence, how to collect information, really how to interview. Because that was the thing that I sat sitting around them, I noticed. When they had a conversation with someone or interpreter, they didn't really talk to them like how you would think someone of, was trying to gain information from you. They didn't really talk to them in that manner. It was a very relaxed conversation. But I understood that there was methods. And it was methods to gain information or to gain trust or to gain leverage with the person before you actually, gave them the hard question or whatever. So, and the reason why they do this is so that they can gather every angle of what they need. So when it comes time to present that information to what jury, to a judge, to prosecute you, they already know this case is already done. Like they have it, and that's when they arrest you. You know what I mean? Like that's when they charge you. So for them to go off and to arrest these guys, I believe, and this is just my opinion, I believe they already knew that they had something that they could charge them with that would stick. And that's kind of another way that the FBI goes about it in order to get you to cooperate. Because if I got something that I know is going to stick, hey man, at the end of the day, now I don't have to say or do too much or nothing. All I got to do is put this in your face and we call it a day. And I think that's what happened years ago. And this is only my opinion. This might have what happened years ago when other people were already arrested for this and they were investigated. And now that's what led to this ring being pretty much discovered by the FBI. Because how can you have global, international, ring of millionaires traveling, whether it was Miami, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, New York, to gamble, and they had tables with X-ray capabilities to see through, with mirrors. They had lenses, eyeglass lenses. Sunglasses that were specially designed so that they could see special marks on the cards. So they were doing the real top secret, movie style cheating to get this party, or to get these gambles going. And to be fair, it's wild because the reports are, when people took losses and they felt some type of way about it, that the mafia stepped in and they would resort to violence to handle this. So that's crazy that the NBA is implicated with something like this, but it doesn't surprise me. Because that's just how the NBA is. The NBA has always had some type of controversy behind the scenes, whether it was alcoholism and drugs, whether it was domestic violence, whether it was a plethora of different, issues, and it always comes to light, and then they have to revamp. They have to go on a tour of, we're changing our ways, we're implementing new policy. Well, Adam Silver, I don't know what you're gonna do, but you're gonna have to do something, because this is big. This is deeper than just, oh yeah, they had a couple gambles, couple players met up and played some cards. This ain't nowhere near it. This is next level. And how they're talking, this was like $1 million scheme. You know what I mean? $1 million scheme. So it's not really clear where they're gonna go with this, because I think it's so much money tied into it that they have to be very delicate how they handle this, because this could end the NBA. This could end the NBA. I think honestly the way things are going with the ratings going down, with just a lot of politics, and just the economy. People don't have the money to spend on $100 and some jerseys or $200-300 tickets for a family of 4 or a family of 6, which nowadays that's kind of how it is. Like if you only, it's okay if you're only going with 2 people. If it's date night, NBA is perfect for you. But if you have kids, it's just not it's not the same. Feeding them, getting them there, getting them the gifts that they want is just not the same. So let's just be clear. That's the problem. And then another wild thing about that is there was supposed to be competition. There was a international basketball league that they were looking into creating, and Maverick Carter, LeBron James were tied to that, and it's been reported that he's pulled out of that in the last few days, which I think it kind of furthered the suspicions that they might have been tied to it and that there might be more arrests coming because this has been talked about for forever, right? For years, and all of a suddenly there's no more. Like he's pulling out. So let's see if I can pull it up here, because that's the craziest part. Is like, how do you go? See, $7 million business deal. You know what I mean? That him and them were. Oh, is that the fantasy football? Mm. And I've actually seen stuff like that. I've actually seen stuff like this where they're saying that if allegations are true and LeBron James is implicated with with anything that has to do with it, that it'll ruin his career. Which I don't necessarily believe it. I'm not necessarily a full fledged believer that that's a situation. Um, Let me see. Complex. That's the only people I really trust. So again, this is back in August. This is kind of confirming, and I trust Complex. I'm sure they did the reporting, and because it's back in August, you know, if it was anything falsely reported, they probably would have took it down by now. But this is where they first reported. This is kind of back when I first heard about the rivaling league. So I'm not certain now if it must be just rumor mill that they pulled out of this. But if this is true, I almost feel like this could be something that's scaring the NBA, which in turns they could be a part of the bigger picture. Is it that this is a coincidence that this is happening and that it's bringing light to some underground gambling ring that a lot of stars, a lot of millionaires might be tied into, and if so, is Maverick Carter tied into it, or is this just a diversion and it's just something that happened and the NBA is just has a problem with overlooking. You know what I mean? Because I really believe that sometimes that's what it really is. I believe the NBA just has a problem with overlooking the realities right in their face that when you implemented gambling as a legal uh, way of betting, or the online gambling, whatever it is a legal way of betting on NBA games, all the integrity is out the door. Because I said it first, I said it a long time ago. When someone has more money, can pick and choose the people that they need to help them win more money, and they can pay for it, there's no amount of integrity will save you from that. The referees aren't safe. The coaches aren't safe. The staff isn't safe. The players aren't safe. None of them are safe. Why? Because they all are taxed. Anytime you do anything the right way, you got to pay Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam wants 43% of your contract. And then they want who knows whatever on the money you made after that because it's income. So you're being taxed twice off those nice contracts, right? So let's just be fair. If I can make $1 million under the table tax free, and I can feed that in through various under small businesses that I have, or pull a Kawhi Leonard and just have a dead contract where I don't even have to show up. I'm just getting paid this money. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, I'll have to, settle up with Uncle Sam later, but I'm getting this money today. And that's what people don't realize. You can't stop it because, yes, it's corruption, but it's based on a system that was built that was already corrupt. Half of this stuff was NCAA, different leagues were already ran by the mob. Were already ran by the mafia. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how we got to this point. The mob was running professional sports, and the mob still runs professional sports. So what are we talking about here? Yes, the feds are involved, but look who's running that ship. So I digress. I don't want to go down a political standpoint with this. I just want to keep it where it should be. The NBA has a real problem, and they need to get this together. They need to find some way to get the young guys who owe this money get their debt paid, man. Find them a advertising deal or something lucrative to get them back to zero, because we got to get this out the news, man. This is literally gonna eclipse whatever we have going on right now. They got Wemby going crazy. The Thunder having a great start. My Milwaukee Bucks having a great start. Like, this is really going to overshadow anything that we have going on until they get this cleared up, because it's always going to be who did what and who is next. Holidays are coming up. How many more indictments are coming up? You know what I mean? Is that going to lead to arrest of your favorite stars right before All-Star break? Or what is this going to lead to? Because we know it's not just these, 4 to 6 guys that they're waving in our face saying, oh, they've already explained it's 31 people involved. You haven't named anybody else besides the 4 or 5 black guys that you put on the news to parade in our face. There's not one. First of all, there's not one. Anybody else? Nobody? I doubt it. But we'll see about that. In the next coming weeks, I believe it. I think there'll be more indictments. But I also believe a lot of this might be politically motivated. A lot of this might be motivated by debt that these players accrued over gambling. And it's their way. This is just their way of getting guys out of the league who can still be serviceable, still be used, but they're just like, nah, we don't want to keep giving you a check because you owe the check. You know what I mean? You owe us more than we could pay you. So nah. And I think this is their way. This is the NBA's way. But that's my update, man. Like I said, Chauncey Billups and them, that were just the beginning. We will have to wait and see who will be next. Also, don't forget, Michael Jordan's trying to shut down NASCAR. He's out here suing, along with another company, over just discrimination and racism. Which they can act like, oh no, I'm sorry, not discrimination and racism, but it's a monopoly, which they can't say that it isn't, because it is. They're not allowing competition. They're not allowing these guys to step into the ring. And before, NASCAR wasn't scared because, it's NASCAR. But this case has some legs, and they believe that he could really change the landscape of what NASCAR and racing looks like, which I'm all for it, because that's them and baseball have definitely been the two sports that have needed change for the last, 30 years. And, they're slow. They're slow, they're uninteresting, and it's obvious, like, the racism that has led to the success of said sports is also killing said sports, because the lack of diversity in the sports in two sports where we know globally they could be overtaken. Just offhand, right? NASCAR, racing. Globally, racing is big, right? There's so many different categories. There's so many different facets to it, right? But the fact that NASCAR has always been stock car, in a circle, they have not, changed their trajectory to where they can do like the Grand Prix and the street race and all that, whereas it's just different, right? I think they are mixing, but it's not yet. It has not changed yet. But I think something like this could project that. could propel them into that realm because you'd have no choice. You'd have to give up the rights to these races and these championships, or at least spread it around, which that's what we could only hope for. Secondly, to that, baseball. Look at how many countries it really play baseball, are really good at baseball, or have sports that are similar to baseball. They need to open this up. Middle Easterners, Japan, China. Look at Shohei Otani. This man is destroying the league single handedly, right? Single handedly about to lead the Dodgers to a World Series. And that's the competition that normal, regular, everyday baseball just doesn't want to see, which that's their fault. But the fans want to see it. So that's what I believe in the next upcoming 5 to 10 years, we'll see that. We'll see a resurgence of sports, but it'll have to be on a global scale, just like the NBA. The NBA is no longer, you know, a league full of guys from inner city neighborhoods and street ballers and shooters from the countryside. It's people all over this world that are making these world championships actual world championships. So let's be clear about that. The more that we fight the globalization of all aspects of what we enjoy about life in America, the bigger the problems will always be because you can't fight it. You can't hide the Lucas. You can't hide the Djokovic's. You can't hide them no more. They're out here and they're coming for you, and they're household names and they're marketable. They're marketable. People want to buy the jersey. People want to see them at concerts. People want to hear what they got to say, and that's what's going to create the in a capitalistic America. That's what's going to create the flow that we need to advance. Because that's the only way both sides actually agree to something. When it comes to sports or education or whatever, when it makes money, that's the only time that people agree. So that's my theory. All right, but we hit all the topics today, man. I'm gonna keep it short until next time. But I just want y'all to stay tuned, man. If y'all find any information, reach out to me. Let me know because this is juicy, especially with the NBA stuff. And it's definitely heartbreaking because it's something that I just never thought I'd see. Never thought I'd see in a million years. Like I figured it was going on. I always thought it was a situation, but I never thought it would be broken. First week of opening day, and then boom, now we got to deal with it. All because it's the NBA, and they always keep things kind of tight. They always kind of keep things close knit, even though we all know some dirty stuff going on. It's never put out on blast like that. They don't air their dirty laundry like a lot of other people do. But anyway, until next time, y'all, man, y'all stay cool, stay out of trouble.